there, gorgeous people. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Patrice, and today, people, we got some stories for y'all. Now, today's earring of choice is toilets, good old commode, because we will be talking-ish about people. But guess what, okay? We're going to be judgy, but they asked for it, all right? They put this information on the internet, and they asked the age-old questions. Am I the jerk? Am I the a-hole? We're just giving the people what they asked for, right? So without further ado, let's just get started. All right, so this first story comes from the subreddit Am I the Jerk? It was posted 6 days ago, all right? So this one says, am I the jerk for calling my friend's emergency contact when she left her kid with me for 20 minutes and vanished? Based on the topic, I don't think so, but let us read. My friend Kayla, 29 female, asked if I could watch her 6-year-old son for like 20 minutes while she ran into a store near my place. I said yes because I've known her for years and I've watched him before. He's a good kid. She showed up, dropped him off with his tablet and a snack, and said she'd be right back. About 40 minutes later, I texted her a simple, hey, everything okay? No reply. An hour passes, I call, straight to voicemail. I start getting that hot panic feeling because I'm not his parent and I don't know what's going on. Her son starts asking when mom is coming back and I'm trying to keep it light, like soon bud, while I'm also refreshing my phone like a maniac. I texted again, then again. Still nothing. At the 2-hour mark, I'm honestly scared something happened, but I'm also pissed because this is not 20 minutes anymore. I also had plans later and I'd basically been volunteered into childcare with no end time. I finally looked at the little info card she once left in her bag, emergency contact and pediatrician, stuff like that, and called the emergency contact, her older sister. I didn't call to get her in trouble. I called because I didn't know if Kayla was in a car accident or had passed out or what. Her sister answered immediately and sounded confused, then went quiet and said, wait, she told you 20 minutes? Apparently, Kayla had texted her earlier that she was going to look at a car with a guy she's been seeing and might be out a while. So she used me as a free babysitter so she could get to do this. And chose not to tell me. Her sister drove over, picked up the kid, and she was polite, but I could tell she was annoyed too. About 30 minutes after that, Kayla finally calls me furious, saying I embarrassed her and made her look like a bad mom. She said her phone had died and she lost track of time. I asked why she didn't plug it in or why she didn't just say she needed a couple of hours. She said because I would have said no and she really needed this. She also said I had no right to involve her family and now her sister is judging her. I told her I'm not a drop-off zone and I'm not comfortable being lied to about someone's kid. She's telling mutual friends I overreacted, that I'm dramatic for calling her sister instead of just waiting. Am I the jerk for calling the emergency contact when she disappeared? Girl, she need to be happy that you called the emergency contact and not 911. That is what she needs to be grateful for because if you didn't think about it and call the emergency contact, you would have just been sitting there like, oh my God. And your other option would have been 911, which would have been worse for her. So she should thank her lucky stars that you contacted the sister. No, OP, here's the thing. If your friend is running to a store nearby for 20 minutes, why couldn't she have taken the child? I know you're a good friend. You sound like a good person. You're thinking 20 minutes. But think about it, OP, okay? Which store these days is not kid friendly? Like you're going to the store 20 minutes. The kid is what? 6? 6. You can take a 6-year-old to the store if it's going to be 20 minutes. So you should not even have believed that lie. No, Kayla need somebody to slap her straight. She need to be set straight because you know you're going to be gone for hours. You left a singular snack, according to OP, and the kid's tablet, right? And then you're off. No, you're saying your phone died. You send it straight to voicemail or you lock your phone off, right? You turn it off. What if something had happened to your child though? Huh? You left them there for hours. What if something had happened to your child? This person is trying to get a hold of you. You're not answering because you know you bamboozled the lady. What if your baby was in danger or hurt or something and this person is trying to get a hold of you? Kayla, you are a bad mother. I'm sorry. You're upset telling people she did not overreact. Like, people don't understand the panic, especially when you're with somebody's kid. You're a friend and you're familiar with the kid, but you're not family, right? And then the mother is not answering. You don't know if this person in a ditch somewhere, somebody kidnap her. You just don't become legal guardian of this child out of nowhere. You don't know what to do. That kind of unsure, that kind of uncertainty. No, I understand what OP did, and I am with her 100%. All right. Comment said, if she looked like a bad mom, it's because she was being a bad mom, not the a-hole. Someone else says, why didn't you ask me? Because you would have said no. Then the answer is no. Drop this friend, OP. Agreed. Someone else said, yeah, I'm not concerned with the bad mom issue because that's obvious. It's the bad friend part that seems to be ignored. If she lies to you about how long it is, she's lying to you, and she'll probably lie more. Bad friend. Someone else says, not to mention not telling them because they would say no is a complete lack of respect for boundaries that no real friend exhibits. The mother sees this friend as free childcare regardless of consent. That's a major issue. The mother of the child has either no concept of consent or completely disregards it when it suits her. Somebody else says, this OP, she's deflecting about how you overreacted and are dramatic because that covers up the real issue that she lied because she knew that you would say no. Please drop this friend, OP. She should be begging for your forgiveness instead of doubling down like she did, not the jerk. Agreed with all the comments. Find yourself a new friend, OP, because this one, no girl. So this next story comes from r/off my chest. I beat the ish out of my twin sister. She lives with me and my husband. She's a freeloader, full stop. She doesn't really cook, clean, or contribute monetarily. She talks to me like she wants and acts the way she wants. She also has 3 kids she only sees on Saturdays for 4 hours. For the last 6 years. This has been going on for far enough. Last night, she got mad about me not answering a stupid question, which I did answer, but she didn't like the answer. And she crushed all my cigars. Totally unnecessary. The straw that broke the camel's back. So when she came to borrow my car in the morning, I said no. I'm tired of being disrespected in my house by a person who pays no bills and does almost nothing. She kept trying to strong-arm me, and I eventually pushed her out of my room. I locked the door, and she got a butter knife and opened the door 5 times to try and get the car keys. We tussled and eventually started swinging. She's like 40 pounds less than me because she doesn't work out, and I messed her up. She immediately went and got on the phone and told everyone I did it for no reason after. I had every reason. My husband is out of town till Tuesday, but we're kicking her out ASAP. I'm done helping her get her life together. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Mini update. I was able to get an ex parte TRO. The police came and took her away. Wow. Okay, Obi, to be fair, like, I know it's your twin sister and you're trying to help her out, but the fact that she doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, she don't give you any money, she has 3 kids but only see them for 4 hours on the weekend, just means she's just not a good person all around, okay? This sister is a mess, a whole menace to society at this point. Oh, sorry, but I understand that you're trying to give her, grace and benefit of the doubt. And it looks like nobody else in the family wants to help her. She probably guilt trip you and say she's going to get her life together. All this and all that, right? But also your sister is ungrateful. Now, how is it that you're housing her, feeding her, all the things, and then she's going to be disrespectful on top of it? Like, nah, she needs to go. You have given her umpteen chances. No. The violence part, okay? I don't condone violence. But I will say it sounds like she deserves it. I'm just saying, okay? Maybe, just maybe sometimes a whooping is what some people need. Seems like this is what homegirl needed to get her life together, right? You done lost your kids 4 hours as the mother for you only to get 4 hours of visitation. You can tell that this OP is not OP sister is just going through it, okay? So she probably deserved a little whooping. I'm just saying. And also the fact that she didn't call the cops. when you whooped her, she knew she was wrong. She knew it. The homegirl knew it. But then in the update, you said I was able to get an ex parte tro. I'm not sure what that is. And the police came and took her away. All right, let's see what the comments have to say. Why haven't you kicked her out? OP says, she's my identical twin. We've been through a lot, but she's become increasingly insufferable after I got married. It's like she can't stand that it's not just her and I anymore. But now I feel just because you're twins doesn't mean you have to put up with her ish. I'm done with it. Oh. Someone else says, she has to grow up and be responsible to her kids, but it seems like she's unable to rally herself and do so. She's just trying to drag you down to her level. I can't imagine the bond an identical twin has, but given that things escalated to violence, enough is enough. She sounds like the kind of person that would sabotage a relationship if she could, to benefit her. She really needs to value empathy and selflessness as a mother. Until she does that, things will go tragically for her. She needs to hit that rock bottom, unfortunately. If she has been there a while, then go through the eviction process to make it nice and legal, because you may not be able to legally throw her out. I would also get a lockbox for keys and cameras to secure your home if she cannot be evicted yet. Make her feel the squeeze and watched at all times, except for her for now. Room, of course. I would also ask friends to come over for support as well while your husband is out. Let them know what's up so they can consent. This way, there is a second pair of eyes and emotional support for you. It's gonna feel real cold when she no longer has free reign and has the eyes of two people who know who she is around her. No doubt she'll try to find someone else she can live free and get free car with. She can Uber herself from now on. Someone else says, call the police and have her escorted off your property. This should be the end of her free ride and the start of your peace. OP says, unfortunately, they don't do that here. I've tried. I will, however, be going to the courthouse on Monday and filing a restraining order. Oh, so OP cannot just kick her out. So she has, what do we call it now, tenant right or squatter's rights. I don't think it's tenant right because I don't think they would have signed on any agreement or lease when she was moving in. So probably like squatter's rights, maybe. So you can't just kick her out, if she was collecting mail, depending on how long she lived there. So they might have to serve her an eviction notice or whatever. But hopefully, the little butt whooping is enough for her to get mad and just leave on her own. Yeah. Alright, so this next story comes from r/Am I the A-hole Black Edition. Am I the a-hole for not feeling bad for my mom after my dad cheated on her? Alright. My mom is a very traditional African woman. My mom is a very traditional African mother and wife. Whenever she cooks, my dad gets his own special bowl of food just for himself. And the amount he gets is almost the exact same amount my mom, me, and the rest of the siblings have to share. My cousins also practically live with us, so we have to share with them too. She always told me no man will ever love me because I don't cook and clean. First off, our food has a lot of fish and meat, and we mostly get them shipped from Africa. So does she really want me to spoil the food like that? And second, I know the minute I start cooking, I'll be the main one to be cooking, so no. She constantly tells me cooking and cleaning is how to get a husband. And when I say this, I'm not being biased. But my mom is the best cook in our community. Every party, function, etc., they ask my mom to cook the main dishes. She's known as the best cook, so in a way, as her daughter, I should also be a cook. You think if keeping a man relied on cooking, she should have 5 husbands by now. I kid you not. When I was in like 3rd grade, she said she hoped my future husband beats me since I don't clean up after myself. Oh my God. Anyways, she pulls me into her room and tells me my dad cheated on her. All my uncles have cheated on my aunts, so this is not a surprise in the slightest. I basically just told her divorce him and live your life, but I really didn't care. Truth is, my dad has been cheating on my mom since I can remember. And I love my mom. She does a lot for me. I would say I feel bad for not feeling bad. She's made so many sacrifices for me, so I feel terrible for not caring she got cheated on. But for her to tell me my whole life that cooking and cleaning is what gets you a husband, then have her husband cheat on her, very ironic. Here's the thing. OP. African traditions, I'm not African, so I can't really speak on it. But to be fair, with your mom's reasoning, the cooking and cleaning gets your husband, doesn't keep the husband or doesn't keep them satisfied, okay? The cooking and cleaning might get you the ring, but it doesn't keep the man happy. It doesn't keep them satisfied all the other ways. So yeah, like, I think it's a dumb reasoning. Just kicking. Alright, OP. That's kind of harsh, but I get what you're coming from. I get where you're coming from, though. Tradition wise, I can't speak for Africans. I am Jamaican. So there are some similarities. Growing up, I heard my mommy did not tell me that, okay, but there are I had friends and other people, in the neighborhood, in the community, that would say stuff like that. Oh, if you can't cook now, you won't get a husband. You have to wash, cook, and clean for the man and all the things. And no, I grew up with a very hyper independent mother who pushed education and told us, make sure that you get a good education, you can support yourself. So if a man ever mess with you, you can up and leave and you can support yourself and live and you'll be fine. Do not depend on a man. So that is the mother I had. So I can't, sympathize with this, personally. But I do know people that, same thing. And the man, them always cheat. Always, okay? While you are at home being the good wife, washing, cooking, and cleaning, then sexually they're out there with other people. And the people that they're having all the funs with and cheating with do not wash, cook, clean, none of that. The women that they chase do none of that. Okay? They want the homemaker. They want to lock you down and put you in the house and lock you in the house. And you are making the home, having the children while they go out and have fun. Okay? So, OP, I do understand where, like, my mom does so much for me. She sacrificed. And that's mothers, that especially an African mother. But give her a little grace. Okay? I get it. I get why you don't feel sad. Again, this is something you're used to. Your uncles and aunties and everybody just getting cheated on. And, for you, this is normal. But cut mommy some slack. She was raised with that mentality. You are no, cutting that generational curse, if that's what you want to call it, and be like, nah, I ain't doing all that. To be fair, you don't even need to be able to wash, cook, and clean to get a husband, okay? Depending on the man. But if you're going to get an African husband, they might want you to do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, have a little sympathy for mama, though. You might not going to be crying because the husband cheat, but show mama your ways. Like, listen, you wash, cook, and clean for this man and he still cheated. You need to live your life. You need to not, centralize this man, decentralize this man. Go out, let him cook and clean for himself. No, I don't know if mama is financially secure, if she can afford to do that. Maybe daddy is, you didn't say, the breadwinner, he's the one that, brings in the monies and stuff. So mommy can't, maybe cannot leave. But if you get, a good job or something, help mama. I'm just saying, you say she help you, help her out to realize that there's more to life than washing, cooking, and cleaning for a man. Yeah, let's see what the comments have to say. She should divorce him and open a restaurant, and I hope she stops saying abusive stuff to you. My goal is to get rich enough. This is what OP says. My goal is to get rich enough to buy her a restaurant, actually. See, you do love your mama. And then someone says, okay, start with a food truck or renting a commercial kitchen and getting out those delivery services. That is a very good idea. Tell her she's been cheated on all along. She deserves better, and you're sorry she was raised to believe that she doesn't. That's true. So this next comment says, your mom, Fafo. She wants to live in a sexist worldview. She's going to experience a sexist worldview. You're not the a-hole, but both of your parents are. P.S. You should learn how to cook, not for any man, but for yourself and for your future family. So should your brothers and cousins, etc. That's good advice. Someone else says, OP says, what does Fafo mean? And I do know how to cook, like best American foods, but African food takes a lot of time and effort, so I don't even try to make it. Once I move out, I'll actually try to make it though. So someone replied to that, Fafo means F around and find out. All right. Yes, OP. All right, so this next story comes from Am I the A-hole? Okay. This one says, Am I the A-hole for telling my children's stepmother to duck off? Just leave me alone, girl, okay? I, 30, dated Hank, 33, for 4.5 years, and we had 2 kids together who are now 8 and 6. We broke up when our kids were 2 months and 21 months old. Within a month, Hank was back with his ex, Michelle, 33. Michelle was his high school sweetheart and best friend with one of Hank's sisters. Hank's family had been sad when they broke up and name dropped Michelle a lot while I was with him. Sometimes they even invited her over when we were there. I was so dumb to stay with him, but I really loved him. When Hank and Michelle got back together, Hank was very hostile towards me. Within 5 months, they were engaged and they wanted me to sign over my rights to the kids so Michelle could adopt them and they could be raised as their kids. Michelle told me nobody liked that they were mine and they would never be accepted into the wider family if I was still in the picture. Hank also made the claim that it was better for the kids to have a stable home and to be accepted. But like I pointed out then, once he and Michelle had kids, would they really be treated like theirs, even if I did entertain the idea, which I would never? They said yes, but I never believed them, or Michelle specifically. Unfortunately, my kids are treated differently because they're mine. For a while, there was an effort made to alienate them. Hank lost some parenting time with them for 16 months, but once the alienation was addressed in parenting classes and therapy, the judge decided it would be okay to give him back shared custody. I have documented proof that my kids are treated as lesser and get treated badly by Hank's family and by Michelle, but custody is still 50-50, and I can't get more time with them. The kids are so sad going to their dads. I have them in therapy, and the therapist has been wonderful and has advocated for me to have more custody too, but the judge said 50-50 was in their best interest. Hank has been really difficult to communicate with, and one of our kids has a medical condition that requires hospital and doctor's appointments frequently, as well as learning disabilities, which requires cooperation. I also have Michelle sending me pictures of Hank's family gatherings where my kids are left out. I wanted to block her, but I was told not to because if my kids are left with her while Hank's working, which sometimes happens, it won't look good if I miss that kind of message. So I save everything, but I don't reply. She has sent 2 medical updates before, so I would see why it wouldn't look good in the judge's eyes, but it's hard to have those sent. And yes, they were used in court and still didn't change anything. I have tried to avoid Hank and Michelle as much as possible and Hank's family, but a few weeks ago, Hank told me he wanted a 16-week break from child support, which he pays because he makes significantly more than I do, because they were saving for a family Disney trip for him, Michelle and their 2 little ones. I refused to let non-payments go, which they didn't like clearly, but Michelle attempted to fight me on this by showing up at my house while the kids were at school, which interrupted me working. She was ready to fight and she was yelling about how selfish I am and how I shouldn't be getting any support for the kids when they made a good offer to let her raise them. She had more to say, but I just told her to duck off and I shut the door in her face. Michelle and Hank have been relentless in texting me since. I spoke to my lawyer, who said I didn't have anything to worry about with their threats of court. I said nothing in front of the kids, and she showed up at my house to yell at me. I also had proof of her behaving far worse and saying far worse to me. So I'm not worried. But am I the a-hole for saying duck off to her instead of just shutting the door in her face? Opie, you are nice. That is all you said, and closed the door. Listen, it is what it is. I cannot judge. I'm not in your shoes. And to be fair, I might have probably said worse. Yeah. But Jesus is working on me, Pre-Jesus Patrice would have done a whole lot worse. And being Jamaican, there are a few more choice words that might have come out of my mouth. However, post-Jesus Patrice would have gathered evidence, and again, you have done that to, with your lawyer to prove. But Michelle is enough. Michelle is very eggs up. I don't like Michelle. Don't like her. I'm going to tell you why. Now, if they plan on having a Disney trip, what does that have to do with you and child support? Were your kids invited to the Disney trip? If you cannot afford a Disney trip, you need to save a little bit longer, put away a little bit more money, a little at a time. But to talk about a 16-week break, is that what it says? 16, yeah. A 16-week break from child support. Are you going to be, if you get the break, are you going to be paying back child support, Michelle and Hank? So OP is just not supposed to, do. She had plans for the money, probably rent, mortgage, whatever, things for the children. She's supposed to just put her life on hold for the 16 weeks so that y'all can enjoy Disney, family. You know what? Let me see what the comments have to say. Not the a-hole. You did call the police when she showed up unannounced trespass her? Question mark. Did you consider filing protection orders against one or both of them for harassment? Because I totally would. I'm sorry that your kids are caught up in this mess. I was one of your kids 40 years ago. I hated watching my parents fight. I hated being the ping pong ball between them. I hope your kids come out of this situation with less harm than I did coming out of mine. Someone else says this, the police reports and request for an order of protection will sway the judge, especially since they have lost access previously. All right, another comment says, also the request to stop paying support to pay for a Disney trip. Hope you got that in writing. For reals. Someone else says, also, were her kids included in the trip? That's what I said. If not, even more grounds for documenting and going back to court. How do the kids feel about all this? Do they like going to their father's house? Would they be upset if you get full custody? That is insane. All right, so the last story comes from True Off My Chest. This one says, I regret divorcing my husband, and now I feel like this other woman took him away from me. That title is confusing, I'm not going to lie. You divorced him, but then you feel like a woman took him away? All right, let us read. All right. My ex-husband and I married when we were 17. We were married for 5 years, and I ended up divorcing him. We also have one daughter. We shouldn't have married that young, but we were both religious and we grew apart as we got older. He was a good man, a good husband, and a good father. But staying in an unhappy marriage just because we have a child wasn't a good enough reason to stay. And then my ex wanted to have another child. I'm a bit confused. You said he was a good man, a good husband, and a good father. So why were you unhappy? Let's continue. I divorced him. We both had joint custody. I contemplated a lot back and forth about going through the divorce for a lot of reasons. My family is really previous, or did you mean religious? And I was scared about the backlash I would face. I also didn't want to be a divorced single mom. I knew it would be harder to ever remarry in the future. But I was around 22 years old when I divorced him, and I was still beautiful, and I realized I still have a chance to get remarried someday, but in the future. I didn't want this life so young. Maybe in my late 20s or early 30s, I'll revisit getting serious with another man again. I just want to enjoy life right now. I never got to be young. I had to grow up really fast. I did get to enjoy my life after divorce. I left like I got to have some of my life back. I got to party. I even went to Coachella. I traveled a little bit, and I got to date a lot of different people and build more life experiences. I also discovered I was bisexual during my single life. All right, girl. But after a few years, it started becoming meaningless and lonely. I started growing bitter. My parents are amazing. They helped me out a lot. My daughter spent a lot of time with my parents, and I feel bad, but I miss a lot of precious moments with my daughter. Mom guilt is so real. Anyways, I'm in my early 30s now, and dating is even more hard than it was back in my 20s. The guys my age still want to hook up, but I just got out of the hookup phase. I don't want to hook up with anyone that I don't care about anymore. My new job is so demanding now, and I just want someone to take care of me again. It's like, what is life anymore? I had fun doing my own thing before and just living my life, but for the past couple of years, work has been killing my mental health. Most of my day is gone working, and then right when I come home and eat dinner, I get to spend barely any time with my daughter, and it's time to sleep and repeat the next day. I'm feeling a lot of regret. My ex-husband did remarry a few years ago. She's in her 20s. He turned her a housewife. He takes care of his new family. They have 2 more children of their own. I don't like her. I feel like she's just using him. She doesn't have a personality. She just reminds me of Kylie Jenner, looks and personality-wise. She also reminds me of me when I was with my husband. She kind of resembled me years back when I was with my ex-husband, and it's safe to say he has a type. I know I don't love my ex-husband anymore, but I do miss what he did for me when we were married. I really want to have what I used to have with my ex-husband, with someone else, but no one nowadays is as perfect as my ex-husband was. I feel like my ex-husband was the perfect man for me, but it was just not the right timing. I haven't found a man even closely comparable to my ex-husband. Most men don't want to take care of their woman and kids anymore, and it's sad. I feel like I'm going to have to date way out of my age range to find what I want, but I don't want to marry someone that's old and unattractive either. I started going to church again. I'm trying to find myself and God again. That's good. I just feel like I just kicked myself back again and I'm restarting from square one. No, Opie, listen, they say a cow didn't, what is it? A cow doesn't know the use of his tail until it's gone or something like that. That is you, OP. And I understand, you got married at 17. Like at 17, what was I doing at age 17? Lord, listen, enjoying life, okay? Not no married, not having kids. 17? Oh gosh, man, like forcing kids into marriages, especially like, you know, the religious groups. Oh my gosh, as long as you like a boy, they're like, oh, no sex before marriage, y'all better get married, you better get married. But forcing your kid at 17 to get married, that is crazy. And to think by the age 22 you were divorced, 5 years of the daughter, all the things. Like I understand you got to now live your life, you found things out about yourself, which is what should have happened first, you know, the growth, and dated first. But just jumping into marriage, that is a serious commitment that early in life. But the other thing too, though, I know you wanted to find yourself and see what was out there. You said your husband was a good man, so I don't know, you know. But it's funny that you got to live your life on all the things that then know you're like, I don't love my ex-husband, and I really don't like his new wife because I feel like she took him from me, even though you left the man umpteen years ago, and you're just bitter because he's happy and you're not. Like, girl, no, don't do that. That's funny. She's like, oh, she's pretty and young and looks like Kylie Jenner. That's what I used to look like back in the day. He has a type. OP, you probably look nothing like this young lady. Stop it. Stop being a hater, girl. Stop it. Okay? You said you're now seeking God, and I hope you find yourself a good godly husband, and you know, I hope life works out for you. But harboring this resentment and bitterness in your heart, especially when you're the one that blew up your life, and your husband being a good man, because you said he was, and now he's, you know, providing for his new wife. She's a stay-at-home mom and living the life that you want. Now you're out here being the hyper independent woman that you wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? You have a demanding job, you're not getting enough time to spend with your daughter and stuff. That's the trade-off, you know. And you know, the dating world right now is a cesspool. That is what I've heard, right? So you just have to live with the consequences of your actions, OP, and I hope lives get better for you. So let's see what the comment says. Whoa. Had a friend whose first wife left after he paid for a boob job. Was at another friend's wedding, which for God knows invited her. Anyway, drunk, crying about how she just thought her first husband would eventually take her back while he slow danced with his new wife. That's funny. Someone else said, we have a friend who paid for an entire mommy makeover for his wife, and I said he paid only because she never worked for the entirety of their marriage. Not because he wanted her to stay home, but because she just didn't want to work. She left him less than a year later, but I don't particularly feel badly for him. He had cheated on her multiple times, which I think she suspected but never could prove. She ended up cheating on him after her surgery and then leaving him for this other guy. Man, I can't imagine all that drama. Someone else says fake. All right, to that, unfortunately, this scenario is all too real. All right. Someone says, you leaving was the best thing that ever happened to him. You sound like hard work. Whoa, that's kind of mean. OP says, I'm curious how you know this about your... Oh, she was replying to another comment, but I don't see the comment. The comment got deleted. Okay, all right. So that's where we're going to end today's episode, all right? If you like these stories, you know, comment down below. Give me a little like. I'm still getting into, you know, reading in front of our camera. Sometimes I may sound like I cannot read, but I promise you I can read. Another thing too is, depending on how these stories are written, it makes me sound like I can't read. I promise you I can. All right, but forgive me for that as I continue to get a little bit better at reading out loud in front of the camera because I'm a little shy sometimes, right? All right, so I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe. All right, toodles.